this one. There you go. Uh-oh. You see the live footage? I don't see it, huh?
Just pull it down again. Let it. There you go. No, that's not. Close. It's not coming up on yours yet.
Yeah.
You got to refresh it again, I think.
I don't know why this doing that.
You getting the live footage? Maybe it's live is that an application I have to download or
he
something?
I
looped
don't
it,
think so.
but he sent Ray the other
You like the page?
he sent Ray the one that he was doing the voiceover over.
Maybe see
It
it.
don't, the break don't come in.
What break?
The break, or whatever you call it, when you come in.
Almost there.
Yeah, he sent him the wrong one. He sent him the one that he was doing the voiceover over with. The voice over with.
That's what I need.
Okay.
Your friends and stuff.
Because he didn't look at it. He keeps rewinding it.
My phone's not going.
Hello viewers, we are live right now on Facebook and this is The Gray Area. This is your boy right here. I was trying to give y'all a chance to jump in, but
We waiting on you. That's
you know,
your job.
I'm just testing y'all out to see where y'all
on
at.
pause right there, brother. This
Fat
your
had to
boy.
come from off his phone just to see what was going on.
I'm like, what's going on?
Y'all gotta stop getting comfortable with the normal stuff.
We're live in the gray area. Then he's just like, we're live in the gray area. This your boy Ray. This your boy P. Wills.
This is The Gray Area and this is your boy Ray E.
This your boy P. Wills.
And this is Ebony.
Ebony in the building, y'all.
Yes.
Somebody's
Yes.
volume man is up.
Is that me?
Whose volume is it?
Can y'all please turn
Somebody.
your volume down?
It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. It's the first time, you know. Everybody gets initiated on the first time.
Right.
You know, we're talking about a very, very important subject, affordable housing. I didn't realize this. Someone in my family recently is been through some things in regards to trying to get affordable housing, being evicted, and that nature. And I didn't realize that this is such a huge deal. It's a big deal. There's a lot of people out there who are down on their luck, going through a financial situation, don't necessarily have the best credit, may have been evicted. And today we want to talk about the different possibilities and opportunities that are available to them, and just discuss some of the history of this affordable housing, what you all bring to the table, and Al with Partners in Housing.
Hello?
How you doing? Thank you for coming.
Justice Lloyd with Second Chance Housing, CEO, founder.
Hey, how's everybody doing today?
And we have a special
Good,
testimony of this service that Justice provides. LaDonna's here.
How's everybody doing?
Oh man, we're doing good. Yeah.
I thought you were a shy girl.
How are you doing?
Pretty good. Can't complain.
Okay.
All right. So, okay, we know that people feel like it's hard to get in. I mean, and you got to think about your area, your location, all these different things running in your head. You're used to living in a certain way and used to living in a certain area, and all of a sudden you can't get approved for the places that you want to be in. Obviously, because the better the place, the more background check, credit, is involved. So, can you guys just do a little bit of an introduction of your companies first of all, and what you all do, and then we'll discuss some different ways to help people. Cindy Towell, we'll start with you.
Sure. Partners in Housing is a nonprofit organization. We're celebrating 12 apartment buildings in Center Township, Indianapolis, and kind of our niche is that we provide housing to people who have experienced homelessness, who might be coming from a shelter, from living on the street, but we also then We also have affordable housing, what we call affordable housing, and it's very low cost housing. We also, what's unique about us is that we also have probably some of the lowest barriers to be able to attain housing. So we don't check credit, we don't check past evictions, we accept most criminal records, because we know that everyone needs housing.
Right.
And if you have just one thing wrong on your record, you shouldn't you shouldn't be denied that basic need of housing. And so the good side and the bad side is that we have waiting lists for our housing.
Okay.
Okay.
So you can get into our housing, but we know there's a great need for affordable housing because we have such long waiting lists. So we know there's not enough of this type of housing.
Now, are these rental properties or is it home ownership?
It's all apartments.
Okay.
So
you did. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
and we actually how we started was because our founder saw that people were sleeping outside of abandoned apartment buildings, and saw the irony in that. There's an apartment building here, and someone's sleeping outside. That doesn't make sense. So that's how we started. So most of our buildings are actually rehabbed apartment buildings. So we actually help the community too by fixing up apartment buildings and not having a big abandoned apartment building as an eyesore, and turned into affordable housing.
Awesome. Justice.
Yes, I am the founder and CEO of Second Chance Housing Finance Consultants. We're a rental agreement. People who have evictions, felonies, for the most part, there are some sticky areas with felonies that you have to be very careful with. State to state, the situations vary, but for most property managers, there are certain stipulations with the felonies that would leave you denied instead of approved, but we can help you get past that.
Such as what?
With some things that we couldn't work with would be if someone is a registered sex offender.
Okay.
If you have felonies for theft or fraud, where they're just not alone, will that just affect your credit or show up on your report, but your name is red flag, and with our system, it makes you more liable if something was to happen again. With the people that we send that come through our program, there's like a 3-step program. They come in, you come in, you sit down with me or one of the agents there that are working for us. We do a consultation. Pretty much we look over your finances, your two most recent paycheck stubs, because the clients that we work with, you have to be able to afford this second chance. It's for more or less people that can afford it. We're definitely wanting to get into what Ms. Tao is doing to be able to give back to the community, but for the most part, right, with this program, the companies that we're working with, they want the people to be able to afford it. So if the person has been on their job for a little bit, or if they've just been hired somewhere permanently, they're making a decent income, $11, $12, maybe even less if you can afford to budget in this rent. We teach you how to go about it, and pay our consultation fee as well as the charges for the program. And then pretty much when you go to one of the apartment listings, which we have over 40 on the northeast and the northwest, south side, and the Noblesville area and Fishers area as well, Castleton area, they're all over. After you meet those requirements, we pretty much can guarantee you the approval if you follow the information step by step. So we've been around since 2007. That's when I started this company. I came from working in the mortgage company. I was actually making homes affordable. I worked that program. I was actually a financial counselor for that program. So I was the person after the underwriter got it. If there was any documents missing, I would contact you about it. So I implemented that into this with making sure we get the right candidates. Now, I know Ms. Tao can attest, when you're dealing with the second chance, you're getting almost, two different people. You get your people who are sincerely looking for a second chance, and then you do get your group of people who are just wanting to play the system. So you have to be able to have a little wisdom to be able
Yeah.
to
Right,
differentiate.
right. There's some
what's
things
what.
that you guys put in
Yeah.
place to
Yeah.
to weed that out.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So how do you do that though? How do you what
Weed them
systems
out,
are in
yeah.
place?
I started doing background checks myself
Okay.
instead of going off the word of the client. You know, you'll get somebody to tell you, hey, I just got a couple of evictions. We'll run the information, they'll go and they'll get denied, and they say, hey, I got denied for my background, what's going on? So that was, you know, the first, when we first started.
Right,
That's something
right.
we eradicated
Yeah.
immediately. That just let us know that we had to keep, you know, we had to really isolate what these issues are. They're more than, you know, you can get, you know, denied for not making enough money.
Mm-hmm.
You can get denied definitely for having a judgment
Mhm.
or an eviction against
Mhm.
you from the property management company, and criminal background definitely. Even some hard misdemeanors can get you denied. So
Mhm.
we made sure that we isolated those major situations. Bankruptcy is another one. If somebody's in an active bankruptcy, you're not eligible to enter into a lease agreement or any financial obligation while your credit is being worked on, or they're dropping the bad debt via Chapter 7 and Chapter 13, the most typical bankruptcies
Mhm.
within our communities, pretty much. So we isolated those issues, identity theft, made sure that we knew for every client that comes in what situation, because everybody's situation is unique.
Sure.
That's what we're finding out. You know, everybody's situation is, even though I might feel a certain way based on the presentation, it's really how the program is worked by the client. And we get a lot of responsible clients, tons mostly. And then you get those people who are, you can see why they're in the situation that they're in.
Right.
Sorry to say, but
Right.
you can see why they're in those type of situations. But if they, you know, successfully follow, you know, the instructions, come in, speak with us, get educated on the program, it's definitely guaranteed that we can get you in somewhere. And I'm sorry. Were you gonna
No,
say
that's okay.
and,
Okay.
you know, we definitely get you in somewhere. We work with we have about 40 different property managers with homes all over the city. So there's thousands of empty homes that, you know, are looking for, you know, new
Right,
tenants,
right.
and about 40 different apartment complexes all over the state of Indiana. Since 2011, we also work outside of the state, so somebody could come and obtain this program if they're planning on moving outside of the state, as well as Canada and Hawaii. So we're just trying to stretch all over, get people to adopt our methods, because, like, you know, Ms. Ty was saying, you know, everybody's situation is different. You know, you never know what happened. Life happens.
Right.
And based on that, I really think it's unconstitutional to refuse somebody a place to lay their head at night, especially if they have a family, because of a past eviction. That's not good enough for me. So, you know, we're trying to be the solution for that, and, you know, being able to have a voice, linking up with, you know, a lot of people who are have the same mission will make this, you know, this change that we need in our city, and trickle down to the other places that want to, you know, get on board with helping people out. And homelessness is crazy in Indianapolis alone. I mean, you walk downtown Indianapolis any 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you'll see somebody sleeping on a trash bag.
Yeah.
We have a lot of millionaires.
In all different kind of weather.
Yeah. Yeah, and Cindy had came and she brought in a pamphlet of her organization, and on the pamphlet it says 12,535 individuals experienced homelessness in the past year in Indianapolis.
Wow.
So yeah, that's major.
That's major.
Right.
12,000
So,
people.
you know, aside from the people that we see that are visible, like you said, that we can see sleeping on the streets, that doesn't account for those other people that we don't see.
Definitely.
And then I had a question for both of you. What kind of systems or what programs do you have in place, education-wise, to help the people that you serve not to repeat the same behaviors, or to prevent the same thing from happening for them to be in that situation again? Do you have any kind of education services or programs?
We offer pretty much the knowledge of the program. People like, we don't really promote. More or less, people have heard about us, or referrals or something like that. So people are calling into the lines and asking for assistance. So we pretty much educate them on what the program is, because based off of just getting a phone number and seeing Second Chance Housing, you don't actually know what it is. So we educate you on it. We make sure that you know what you're getting ready to do. You come in, you set an appointment to come in to speak with one of our representatives. We it's like a 25 to 30-minute education course where you sign a few different disclosures on what you're getting into with second chance housing. You have to really reevaluate your situation. We ask you to bring the paycheck stuff so we can make sure that you're making at least enough money for the financial side to be able to pass that. We keep a track on days off that you're taking from work, how work's going, to make sure there's no gaps in working, like you're somebody who calls off a lot, so we verify employment. And different things like that a lot of places wouldn't really consider when somebody's just going to enter into an initial lease. But when somebody has broken a lease, unfortunately, you're liable regardless of the situation. That's why most property managers can evict the tenant for anything, because you have to meet the what the guidelines are based on that lease that people really fail to read. That's why these evictions stick on their credit like they're due. So based on that, we just teach the people how to really be responsible, how to put the money back.
That's good.
How to plan ahead so that they won't run into this situation. The first when we started, I had a few people that were calling me. I could set an alarm for them every year. They were calling.
Same time.
You think I could do this again? Hey, Mr. Wilson,
Wow.
And I'm just like, hey, it's not third and fourth and fifth chances.
Right.
It's second chance housing. You have to be very responsible
Right.
for this second chance, because
That's what I was going to ask you. What's the limit? And Cindy,
Yes.
I'd like you
share what you
to
wanna say.
share that before I go any deeper.
Sure. So Partners in Housing has, first we recognize that, again, housing is a basic need, and we want to remove the trauma and that's associated with being worried about losing housing, and so
Right.
that's why our housing is permanent. So that's the one thing you
Nice.
don't have to worry about. You're not going to lose your housing just for one little mistake, one little thing wrong. And then we have a support services team who they work with our residents, kind of like case managers. They're not case managers because we try to connect our residents with case
Sure.
managers. That's part of why we're called Partners in Housing, because we're the housing, and we know there are other groups who are doing the financial training, and we're
That's
doing the
good.
job training, and doing those things better,
Right.
and have the resources to do. So we bring them in, to meet with our residents. So we bring in anything we can that helps our residents, and then we connect them to the resources that are already in their community. So if they're not, something as simple as just getting your ID, sometimes that can be confusing.
Right.
And if you've been on the street and you haven't had a mailbox, or you haven't had those things, that's what our staff will help with. So
That's
it's really, and I like to hear about second chance housing, because that can almost be what we can do is give people a base to have a record of housing and credit, and that can build it up, and to move on if
Absolutely.
they want to.
That's kind of what I
Yeah.
wanted to go into. Not only the repetitive, the repeat offenders, but you guys are wanting to see. People think it's an easy walk when they come to you, but you almost have to be willing to put in some effort and work as well. This is not I need some housing, put me somewhere. This is okay. You got to be working. You got to show there's some training that you can take to get back into the workforce, to get your financials together, try and get your credit report together, your credit score. So there's things in place that will allow people who come to you to get themselves together, but they have to be willing to want to do that. So
The other thing I do want to bring up too, and maybe we'll talk about this, things are right now. There's crisis in our country.
Absolutely.
There are not enough mental health
Sure.
resources.
Yeah.
And we see that in our housing. 74% of our residents have a disability, mental or physical.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And so there are some of our residents who they're probably not going to go and get a full-time
Or
job.
9 to 5,
Right.
You know,
right,
but
yeah.
they still need housing.
Yeah.
Right.
And they still need need to be able to contribute to society.
Speak on the
And-
process. Yeah, speak on that process, and you know when those people, when you get those people that come to you that have an issue.
Well, so the number one thing is that we want that person to have a roof over their head,
Right.
and that right away alleviates some of the stress and some of the trauma that they've had if they've been living on the street, especially, and then just and then again our resource coordinators will work with them, and if a lot of our success is that after a year, people who come to us from experiencing homelessness and living on the street, when they're given housing, after a year, 95% of them still have their housing,
Maintaining.
have maintained their housing, and that's a big deal
That is a big deal.
for
Yeah.
someone who's had trauma and has had inconsistencies in their life and
Yeah.
barriers and
Sure.
so to be able to have that kind of stability, you know how fast time goes by.
Sure.
3 months, 6 months, that feels like nothing.
Right.
So you need longer time to get stable and get
Right.
stability sometimes, and so that that's what we're there for.
That's
Mhm.
awesome.
How long does it usually take for? And I know yours is like 14 days,
There's 3 programs.
3 programs.
We have 14 business day basic package. We have the 7 business day package, and we have the 3 to 5 day emergency package. Now,
Wow.
when I say packages, pretty much based on all the information that you get to apply with. On the 14th business day at 7 a.m., the client will be eligible to start applying for housing.
Okay.
We issued them networks within our networks, and then you're eligible to go pretty much anywhere that you're wanting, unless you get a lot of people that come in and shoot for the stars instantly. But again, we try to teach them how to live within their means instead of somebody calling me, hey, I just got blase amount for my tax check and I haven't started my job yet. I want to sign up for your program. Well, unfortunately, that situation for us with the second chance housing, it wouldn't be something that we would feel would be the
Sure.
perfect thing for them to do right
Sure.
then and there, because we don't want you to end up in that situation.
Right.
Just
Right.
because you
It'll
got
last you a couple months, but then you'll be right back out there.
Statistically, in the urban community, tax check goes in about 3 days.
Right. That's
So
true.
Looking at that, we take all that information in. We have a 65% success rate where people are
Mhm.
staying in the place is 65%, which is a pretty
great.
good percent.
Right.
But then you get the other 35, whatever's 45, something like that. That repeat the same cycle. So we take account every situation that happens, but like I said, the best way to make sure that you have a success rate is to educate them. But we're definitely teaching them. We're looking for programs like Ms. Towels that will offer somebody with that type of situation to be able to try to get housing. But I could only imagine what those waiting lists could be like
Sure.
when it's that type of service. Because we have waiting lists. A lot of times we may pack out different apartments. Like there's an apartment complex on 56th Street in the Lawrence Township area that we packed out in January. We packed them out until April. Now the openings that they've had have been evictions or people breaking their leases, and so we've been able to send them a few more people. But from our agreement, there were no availabilities. Right now, tax time.
Yeah.
I mean, we're having anywhere between 15 to 60 people come in a day.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
Trying to sign up for this service, and that's a big percentage. A lot of
Absolutely.
people coming in during tax time, so it's you get your people that are really sincere with that type of volume. You get your people that are just wanting to be in and out.
Right.
You get your people that are very genuine and really want to have this second chance at it, and they want to know everything. They're calling the hotline every 5 minutes to get more information so that they can be successful. They call you before they apply. That is what we consider somebody who is who is determined to get this situation better. Because it's we don't consider second chance housing as a permanent fix because it's leases. We look at
Right.
it like just a
This is to get you
stepping
going.
stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a stepping stone
Yeah.
to get you where you need to be while you handle your business. So we,
Right.
that's
Do you?
So just
Oh, go ahead.
just to make sure I understand how your program works
Mhm.
and make sure the viewers understand. So, because you mentioned the apartment on 56th Street.
Mhm.
So are you then? I don't want to say use the word buffer in between. So they come to
Yes.
you and then they
Yeah.
get approved through you. The leasing contract, is it managed through you?
No, the leasing
Okay.
contract is actually managed through the property management
Okay,
company.
and which you have a partnership
Yes,
with.
we have a partnership
And-
with her.
okay.
We've done. Sometimes the property management may be at some big corporation. So
Okay.
different apartments or housing agencies would sign on in between that big corporate contract that we're definitely waiting on getting. But we work with more subsidiary companies. So our packet information is something that we send off telling them that we're sending the client, but that's everything that they keep in that client's file separately. So they gain the approval process through us. They come
Okay.
to us. We send them through the process to make sure it's a good candidate.
Sure.
Once we find that out, we make sure that you sign off for all the disclosures. We'll send you forth to one of the places. They'll know that you're coming, and they'll be pretty much ready to approve the client
Sure.
based on when they apply.
So in essence, you're kind of vouching for the client,
Pretty much
and you're letting the apartment know that this is a
Yes.
Reliable
client. It's a-
client
yeah, it's a
because they've been through your
Right.
process and been through your service. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
what
Okay.
you both do is very necessary
Yeah.
because
Essential.
there's so many people that get denied trying to figure it out, and they have to live with family and do this and jump around and live in the car and all that stuff, and it's just it's
And I know they have they have other options.
yeah, and there's other options. Do you guys work with any government funded programs that allow you to further help people, or is that a whole nother animal?
I've worked with DCS and the Children's Bureau.
Mm-hmm.
They send me people all the time. A lot of times, if they're coming from DCS, the Children's Bureau, they pay for their client. They pay our consultation fees and the package fees. That's the difference. You do have to be able to afford our program. So like again, if somebody wasn't working, we wouldn't suggest that. Now, me, Ms. Tal, we could maybe send that type of client her way, so see if something
Awesome.
could work out, because like you said, there's a lot of different second chances that are needed. Mine more or less for the middle class. Somebody who's working maybe paycheck to paycheck. You messed up a little bit along the way, but you can afford to live, and based on that, we get you home.
Okay.
Does anybody have a priority on that list? Like you mentioned, DCS, and so I'm wondering, like, if I'm a female who may be dealing with a situation like abuse, if I'm a mother with children,
Right.
if I would have precedence over someone who does not, may not have as much of an emergency as I have at that time.
Well, we have the 3 different packages: the basic, the standard, and the emergency expedited package. The fastest that you could typically move is anywhere between 3 to 5 days. It wouldn't be a situation where we could get you somewhere the next day. There's a few steps, so it could be 3, it could be 4, it could be 5 days, just depending on how fast the information is sent between me and that company.
And is that
and
the
the
most
person.
expensive package?
Yes,
I'm
it
guessing
is.
because
is
it
the
costs
most-
more?
Yeah, it's the most expensive
Okay.
package because there's more that has to be done
Okay.
with getting you approved that fast. Now, we do look at those type of situations. I've had single mothers who've been victim of abuse when as far as changing their name, social security number, so they could get away from this person. And we do. There's different. We always run different specials throughout the year, so the price is usually different. About at least 3 times a year. We try to make it affordable for them. We send out. Like I said, we don't do a lot of promotion, but we'll send out a lot of word of mouth discounts and screenshots from the Facebook page or Instagram. You send 25% off, different things like that to just help you with the program. But we do take emergency situations a little bit more serious when it's something like that.
Sure.
So
Okay.
hurry up and help get you
Okay.
in somewhere.
LaDonna, you've been sitting here patiently waiting. We'd like to hear your side of the story in regards to being able to use this program to get ahead. Can you tell us a little bit of your story and tell the viewers how it helped you?
Yes, of course. I've been an acquaintance of Dustin for years now, so I've seen him build the program from the ground up, and it's awesome and also concerning how many people need and contact him for the program. It's very overwhelming, actually. So
As far
it'll
as
be
the
off
need.
as far as the need and just the number of calls that come in and the situations people get into, and it's how quickly people say, no, you can't come here because of something that happened 5 or 10 years ago. I really don't think that's right. So
Yeah.
for him to actually slow down and try to figure out your situation and work with you, and it's really, integrity based. As long as you keep open communication, if he doesn't know, he can't help. So
Yeah.
just communicate. Just be honest, be open, and he keeps saying it's short term, but I think it's long term. You can take it as far as you want to, as long as you're being responsible. Just don't look at it as a short fix. Yeah, there are people that's coming in and just want to get out of a situation really quick, and they're on to the next and not really learning from past mistakes
Right.
or
Yeah.
what I need to do moving forward.
Right.
And then there are those people that are calling him all day, every day. Hey, I'm about to do this. What should I do next? Or should I do this? Or should I? And you know that they're really serious about getting themselves out of the rut that they're in. And they'll send more referrals. And, hey, I know this person. You always know somebody that needs help if
Yeah.
you're not that person.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just amazing. I've seen, thousands of people housed. I have family that has been housed. So it's a great opportunity. And, seeing how much of a need there is if he can, get those different partnerships, or even meeting Miss Toe. I think they can, Miss Tao, I apologize. I really think and see them just taking off and double and tripling the people they can actually help. And word of mouth is still number one, and you hear it from a family member or a friend or
Church.
however it comes, church, all walks of life. Everybody needs help, so I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Wow, that's awesome.
Today we've housed over 30,000 people.
Wow.
Since 2011.
That's major.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's major. So
Wow.
there's different sides of town that I go
You working
to
all year long.
all years, no stopping. So I go to these different sides of town, and I be at the grocery store, or a gas station, and I see all these familiar faces from people that sat down with me over the years. So it's remarkable on the need. But as the years go on, the more the need, the more the cost of living goes up, the more
The
need.
economy going up and down, and so many different factors. Mental illnesses,
Yeah,
Cindy.
it's a lot of
Cindy
mental,
stated.
definitely. It's so much mental illness going on that we have we fail to pay attention to. A lot of things that would be considered a mental illness are praised by a lot of us, and so we don't really take the time to really pay attention to these needs until you actually sit down with these individuals to really know what their situation is.
Yeah.
It looks great on social media. It looks
Yeah.
it looks like so much sauce. But then you sit down with these people and
Yeah.
you realize how broken the situation is.
Absolutely.
How you could tell somebody from A to Z how to do the program, and they'll do it from Z to A. And you see that, and everybody's different, everybody learns different. So usually it's about 25, 30 minutes. Sometimes I have to sit down with people for a few hours, just to make sure that they know, because of, those learning curves. People, not understanding but they know they need it. That's all they know they need it. I can afford it, I need it, how do I do it, so you know, every person's different, but you know,
Yeah.
we're just trying to, you know, be there. If you need this, we got you.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Yeah, here's a question, man, that I have for you know, everyone. What do you think are the leading causes of homelessness? I mean,
Well, I can tell you, in Indianapolis, for individuals, number one cause of homelessness is job loss.
okay.
For families, it's fleeing domestic violence.
Wow.
So that just busts up any kind of myth, you know,
Mhm.
of when you see somebody
Right.
and the first thing they tell them is to get a job.
Get a job, right? They had a job.
Yeah, they
were
had one,
working,
right.
and something happened,
Mhm.
and also, you know, you pointed out that number, over 12,000 people who were homeless in Indianapolis last year, and something important to note about that is, most of them were homeless for the first time.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
So,
That's very important.
you know, the number of chronically homeless people living outside, that's actually a smaller number.
Right.
But it's someone who missed, you know, one
Right.
rent payment, someone who had a job and got downsized, family who had a health issue, they couldn't pay the medical bills. You know, it's not
A house fire.
right a
Yeah.
house fire. It's
And-
not. It's your neighbor. It's my neighbor.
Yeah.
It's not.
Right.
It's not some quote unquote crazy person on the
Right.
street.
Mhm.
You know,
But that's
and
how
I
it's
think
treated.
that's really important for people to know. It's not. It's your neighbor. It's my neighbor.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of people don't really realize a lot of these things. Even for myself, you don't realize situations people go through until you're either in that or know someone that's in it.
Yeah.
And it really makes you step back and be like, wow, this is true. This is really happening out here.
Yeah, one of those. Sorry to cut you off.
You good?
But like she was saying, the major factor is unemployment. Now, with unemployment, really, what you see, you don't see a lot of companies hiring directly anymore.
Right.
You see these thousands of staffing companies that hire and hire and hire because they get a percentage of the pay from the person that they hire
Yeah.
for the company.
Like
So,
Amazon.
Yeah,
with,
Amazon.
With,
So there could be
integrity,
any, there could be anything that the person could do, you know, rub somebody wrong and the assignment be ended, and they went from making $15 an hour and getting paid every week to not having anything.
Right.
Because they're used to getting this money every week until that staffing company can find them another situation. And that's what you get a lot of here in Indiana. You got these people that are working for these staffing companies,
Yeah.
and you know, they're working hard, they're working their butt off, and then after Christmas they're laid off. And so they're getting evicted from their apartments, right? And they're waiting on their tax checks, and nobody will work with them or, you know, let them, you know, keep a tab on their rent. So they'll lose everything until around March or so, when the tax checks come back and they've been working somewhere, sleeping on somebody's couch, then they'll come through our program. But that is so major, that unemployment thing, how these jobs are not hiring directly. They're hiring people for just a task. The people get, you know, working there, they'll tell them, you know, we'll hire you within 90 days. Some of these people will be at these staffing companies for 2 years and not be hired on at the
So
drop
this
of
is
a
an
dime.
at-will state. So
At
a
will.
lot of these companies
At
and
will.
businesses are taking advantage of that opportunity when they have a business here,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
they don't even need a reason
No reason.
to let you go.
No
They
reason.
just, this is an at-will
Yeah.
state, so they can fire you for
Yeah.
blinking.
Exactly, and that's why unemployment epidemic, with people being homeless and employment fall hand in hand. So we make, you know, if we can maybe change, you know, the processes with these staffing companies to at least give these people a chance to maybe keep this job longer, instead of just letting this person work all day and then calling them late at night and telling them that
You
they
don't
don't
need
have
them.
a job anymore. That can make somebody go crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's Christmas.
I
next
imagine
week.
so.
You know, that happens so often. You know, I had a cousin who was working for this company at a hospital, and they called him a week before Christmas and let him go.
Wow.
And you know, thanks to the Creator for, you know, him having the way he was, his wife was working and was able to, you know, hold their situation down. Now he's a CDL driver and has a permanent job.
good.
So,
Good for
you
him.
know, things have changed dramatically, but things like that happen. So I'm really, you know, I'm loving what Ms. Tao was talking about, because even doing this with people that can afford it, you see the need that for people who can't.
Right.
You really see the the infrastructure. You see these people losing these jobs left and right.
Mm-hmm.
They can't keep these jobs, and if we could change their methods of how they hire people and giving people a chance, hey, you can't fire this person just because you don't like him. You got to give this person, have point systems within these staffing companies. Maybe we could turn over unemployment. But until that, that situation is addressed, we're gonna continue to have that issue, and homelessness is gonna continue to rise. And like she said, that's crazy. You have to pay attention. These are first time homeless people, not habitual.
Sure.
Over 12,000 new cases.
And there's so many factors, right? Because even if you get the job, then there's transportation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, it's not easy to get out to the Amazon warehouse, and the Target warehouse, the CVS warehouse, and all that.
Yeah.
And so, that we have a lot of staffing companies and things come to us and say, we can hire people right now. And I say, well, can you get them? Can you get them there?
Right.
Because, our
Labor
people
ready.
don't have transportation.
Yeah.
And so, they might want to work, they might be willing to work, but can't get there. So,
Right.
a lot of factors go into.
So, and I'll play devil's advocate. So who is it to blame?
That's
in
what
this
he's doing, my
situation?
brother, man. Why was I just
You
about to
just
say
thinking
that?
the same thing?
I mean, who is it to blame in that situation? Is it the person that is depending on this job, and they invest 1,000% of their livelihood into this job, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they're banking on it. So they live according to what this job is paying them.
Right.
So when they don't have that job, guess what? They get evicted, or they become homeless, or they lose their family.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I don't think it's their fault at all. I feel like for some people it may be their fault. You have some cases where people, are not working, but for most cases, I'm not gonna say 9 times out of 10, but most cases, these people have been waiting to get a job. They've been waiting, so they'll get these jobs and be working their butt off, and then get laid off. So can you say that person's fault, or can you say that the company who hired them to give them a chance didn't give them enough chances? That's how I look at it, because there's no way that it's just as quick as they hire you, they fire you. And I do understand that, but there should be some type of, fallback. They're making a lot of times $5, $7, sometimes even $10 a client that signs up with these staffing companies per check that you get. These companies are paying you more. They go for the max dollar. So I feel like the staffing companies are capitalizing on unemployment.
Yeah,
They're capitalizing on this business in itself.
yeah, and that's what this
business.
country is built on.
Definitely.
Capitalism.
Yeah, it's capitalized. So if they can do that,
Definitely.
most people that can make money like that, they're going to take that chance.
Definitely.
Yeah,
They're killing it under
yeah.
this Republican regime right now. They're
And
killing it.
I would also say, don't we all like that to a certain extent?
Yeah.
We live
Yeah,
in
we
a
do.
society where
You have
we live above our means, and we spend money paycheck to paycheck. I'm not the best at saving, but that doesn't mean
You don't need a place to live.
I don't need a place to live, and I don't need all these other things, and so it's not that it's not that person's fault.
Yeah, and I see what you're
Then
saying. I
there's
mean,
a job.
if any of us, you take away our jobs,
Right.
unless you have something, unless you have enough to fall back on, at least for 1 or 2 years salary, we're all pretty much in the same situation.
If any of us have
Unless-
a major medical situation,
Right. Oh, medical is major. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, you have a medical cancer, any of those things will wipe out. Even diabetes, wipe out half of your monthly. Well, at least $300 to $500 worth of your salary every month just on medication. for
I'm
diabetes.
gonna continue to play devil's advocate here, because I just wanna spark people's minds from a different perspective, socially, economically. Over the years, we've gotten to this process where we've become reliant on government services, or
Right.
getting or
Just
or
jobs, period.
continuing to fight out of the pit. And you guys are a blessing to those who
Absolutely.
who don't have the understanding or knowledge of of how to sustain, how to maintain. Because if it wasn't for you, they obviously wouldn't get a second chance at getting housing. But isn't there and shouldn't there be some accountability for your own in your own responsible way to make sure that, look, if one day I ever get let go, or if I ever get fired or get down on bad luck, life happens, medical, whatever, isn't it our responsibility, and shouldn't we have some accountability to prepare for that?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay,
totally.
so because
Yeah.
I mean, I've been there. I lived in my car for like a week, 2 weeks.
Come on.
You know, I've been there. I know what it feel like. You know, and I vow to never ever feel that again,
Yes.
because it ain't nothing like feeling like you a burden on somebody else.
Yeah.
So you worked hard.
So you live in
Was
your
hard,
car because you don't want to
Oh, yeah.
affect anybody else's life, and you know that's the worst feeling ever,
Yeah.
because you know that
Yep.
you think like, man, if I ever get in a situation, I'm gonna help whoever because I know what it feel like. But you can only do so much to help people.
Right.
Yeah.
At some point in time, you have to be accountable for yourself and hold yourself accountable for the things that happen. You know, for me
Yeah.
as a young man, and a lot of young men go through this where most of us are raised in a single parent home with a mom. We get with a woman and she's like mom. She's cooking, taking care of everything. Her name's on everything.
Right.
But one day she get mad and be like, "You got to get out."
Yeah, no, you have nothing.
You know, now you looking at it like, "Wow, I never really thought about this.
Right.
My name ain't on anything. All I have is my car, and that's in her name. So
It's
let
that.
me get out of here before she take that." No, but the thing is we come from socially and economically, we've gotten into this situation where we have to try and keep playing catch up.
Yeah.
Right.
At some point in time, we have to realize that we have to think about the future and
Yes,
say,
we do.
you know what, I don't want to ever be in that situation, and I don't want my kids to ever be in that situation.
Yeah.
So, you know, does your programs, you know, where it helps people sustain and maintain and get back out there, do they encase some of that in
Yes,
saying, you know, helping them maintain the
Encourage that, yeah.
yeah.
Our program, the client has to be 100% ready for that type of situation. Being that it's a second chance, like I said, we don't really market, but when we're talking to the individual, we market it as your last chance. This is it. You weren't able to do it before us. We're gonna offer you this opportunity. It's on you to be totally responsible for this second chance. So you know you need to be budgeting. So we teach you how to put money
Right.
back per paycheck. If it's $25 to $50 or however much extra that you have to put back, so that you can afford your rent at all costs.
Right.
Different things that you can cut out of your budget. The whole nine, because at this point it's going to be on you to keep this up. If you know get evicted, you know, or you get some type of judgment on this, then that's totally on you.
Right.
You sign a disclosure saying that you understand fully. We ask you, do we have your verbal permission to continue the process? Are you okay with everything? Do you understand? You have to give us verbal recognition that you understand everything before we even move forward. So we definitely hold the client accountable to let them know.
Good.
You still get your people that are calling like, I didn't know, Mr. Boyd, you didn't. Well, the scripts that we have all have the same basic information. It's just every agent words it differently. So you were told. Now, if you paid attention to it, it's on you.
Right.
But you know, you get that. You get people who are not paying attention. My process is more or less, the person has to be able to afford it. So in affording it, there's going to come some type of responsibility or feeling that this person has to keep this up because, hey, this is my last time.
Right.
I'm on eggshells trying to maintain this. Whatever I got to do, I have to work 2 jobs. They'll call me like, Mr. Boyd, I just got a second job. I'm not gonna lose this one.
Awesome.
And I'm proud of you. Whatever you got to do, because I'm not only the founder of this. I went through a divorce about 8 years ago,
Wow.
and had a big foreclosure against me over $70,000. Nobody was letting me rent. So I got with some attorneys at my job, and they were telling me options that bankruptcy clients were using while they were in active bankruptcy to obtain housing. And I'm like, wow, why wouldn't you use this for people with evictions and some
Right.
felonies? And he was like, sounds like you're up to something.
There it is.
And there it was.
Mhm.
And here you have it. So,
Awesome.
7 years later, we're just trying to grow, connect with people who can offer the things that we can't. but there is a certain responsibility that has to be taken into major
Absolutely.
consideration before you sign on any dotted line with us.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
I think the key is that second chance.
Yeah.
You know, you have to give people a chance to do
Right.
do better,
Right.
and when you know better, you do better.
Absolutely.
And so you just have to give people that. You have to give people that chance. Whoever got everything right the first time they ever did anything, and who grew up all the same way and learned
Right.
the same
Absolutely.
thing and knows the same thing. And so, you know, in our work, we just know that, it's hard for us. We're a nonprofit organization. We're property managers, and we're also there to help people. So we have a certain. We do need to get rent for our buildings to keep going,
Mm-hmm.
but we also know that if someone was short $20 that one time,
Right.
if we kick them out, they're on the street.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
$20.
we're not going to do that. So
Mhm.
so we, you know, we give second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth chances. We
Oh,
talk all the time about
Right.
how many chances should we give,
Mm-hmm.
because it's hard, right? Because if you know
Right.
you know that you're turning someone away
Yeah.
to live on the street, you know, it's really hard. It's really hard.
Sure, sure. I could imagine. You know, and it's just tough because we know about the mental illness, and mental
Yeah.
illness is disguised in so many
Yeah.
ways.
It
And
is,
people
and
think
that's
of
what I
mental
was
illness
yeah.
to you don't, you know,
It's the
prior
long-
to understanding what mental illness was, I thought it was somebody that couldn't function, like literally had a handicap. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like in my mind, but mental illness is sometimes you can't even tell a person has a
No.
mental
It
illness.
could,
Not at all.
it could just be simple habit,
Yeah.
Right.
or the way the person's thinking. That's,
Right.
You know, that's off. You know, that's considered a mental illness. You
Mhm.
know, especially a lot of people with substance abuse issues. That's looked at as a mental illness
Sure.
in a lot of cases, because it's the way that you're thinking that you can't live without this substance
Right.
that makes that a situation. And a lot of
Mhm.
people think just because the doctor prescribes it to them, or and it's in their regular routine, that they're okay.
Mhm.
But it's actually, it needs to be looked at under, a fine tooth comb. But that's a lot of America today. That's the sad
Absolutely.
part about it. So you do have a lot of forms of mental illness that, we need a lot of people in different places really looking into these situations and handling each one differently, because there's so many faces of it.
Absolutely. I think if people could had an outlet, and especially in the black community, like we are so too prideful to tell somebody that something may be wrong or
Right.
something might be off, because we already feel like have a microscope on us already. So this is just an added thing. If I tell somebody reach out for help, and to try and prevent that. And it's hard, like you said, it's hard for somebody to tell themselves that something is wrong with me. Usually it comes from 50 people around you before you notice that, you know what, I might need some help. So
And these things are so intertwined, if you think about it. Things like trauma and depression, that manifests itself sometimes as you're not good at managing your money.
Not at all.
You're not,
Yeah.
you forgot to pay your rent, or you couldn't get out of bed to pay your rent, and so
Or go to work.
or
Couldn't
go
get
to
up
work,
out of bed to go
and
to
so
work.
it's so intertwined, and we find that just being a housing provider, it's so intertwined, and it's hard to work in a system that is broken sometimes too,
Sure.
and so
mhm.
we try to play catch up
Absolutely.
ourselves
Sure.
with what we do as a nonprofit organization. If we can't get our residents the mental health care,
Right.
if it's not there, that's a problem.
Right.
So,
Are you guys able to take someone who, you specifically, because I know you had mentioned, having more of those people, deal with them on a more consistent basis. Do you guys take over the fact, like, do you put them in the program to get help? Do you say, you know what, I know someone that could put you in this program that will help you get prescribed with medication, or you sign up for Medicaid, or what are you guys' process when you take someone who is maybe homeless or suffering from a mental illness? I mean, you just can't tell them to get it together. What do you
Right.
have to do?
Right. So, and that's why we have our support services staff
Okay.
and our resource coordinators, and they're not mental health counselors, but there are Midtown Mental Health. We connect people with case managers, with different programs, because there are programs. There's not enough.
Right.
But there are programs, and whatever there is, we connect people with whatever we can to help them, and but we want them to be safe.
Right.
Right.
We want them to be safe and
Absolutely.
housed
Definitely.
and not on the street.
Mhm.
So
Man, that's got to be a tough one. I mean, like that's
It
got to
is
be a
tough.
tough to see and to do.
Mhm.
To
Yeah.
have people constantly come and need help, and even more sad when you can't help them. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's
That's
just
the
it's
worst.
just sad.
That's the worst when you
So,
can't help.
Yeah.
and I know well, and I know we have similar
Mhm.
situation where people every day calls
every day.
every day. I'm a mom and I have kids. I just lost my job.
Mhm.
What can I do? And it's sometimes it's that person who is harder to help
Mhm.
because we can give emergency housing.
Sure.
If someone is dying on the street, we can give emergency housing.
Mhm.
But it's the person who needs the second chance
Right.
that it's harder.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we with our housing, like we really more of the housing that we do is more township based.
Mhm.
So we give the client the opportunity to live in a township base or keep up the look that they had, because believe it or not, that's one of the major factors in a lot of the clients. They just want to still live in the same
In a
area
lifestyle,
that they live.
maintain a
And
lifestyle.
they're working somewhere, they're making the same money, they had a minor setback, but they want to just keep up the same look.
Mhm.
They want to maintain that.
Mhm.
So looking at that, we work in rural areas, of course we do. Because some of the most inexpensive living is in rural areas, and not every
Right.
rural area is bad.
Mhm.
If you keep to yourself, a lot of the rural areas are changing and being renovated.
Mhm.
So, we would, suggest some of that living to somebody that we see maybe couldn't afford what they're
Mhm.
going for.
Right.
But, inevitably it's up to them to go for it. We'll tell you, we'll lead you to the water, but we can't make you drink it.
Absolutely.
So it's, like she was saying, it can be really sad when somebody is genuinely wanting to come through the program and then they can't because of, whatever setback.
Right.
Because, we want to help as many people as we can. We want to be like, hey, we want to, just off of, word of mouth alone, people have heard about us or seen one of these flyers and didn't even know that you're saying it. We keep it so basic, that, oh man, I didn't know that was you. Yeah, I didn't really want it to be, like my face on it and all, just that enough. Evictions, felonies, bankruptcies.
Sure.
Yeah.
It says
Sure.
a lot. It says
There's
a
a
lot.
lot.
Absolutely.
It's
catchy.
writing the number down, and we usually
Second chance. I
Right.
mean,
we usually this is a rough copy, but we have these chair tabs.
I still got one of
You see
those.
these chair tabs, and
Yep.
these will be up at your little chicken
I'm
spot.
handing those out to
whatever.
people.
People just rip the number out
Mhm.
and call them. We get
Yeah.
thousands of calls and on it.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure she gets, because people really need this type of assistance. So
Absolutely.
it's it's a blessing to be able to help people, but you definitely, when you're helping them, you want to look into all ways that you can help them. So I'm definitely glad to be here tonight, to be able to meet with Ms. Tao and
We're glad to have you.
meet you guys, and hopefully
Appreciate it.
hopefully we can link up and
Absolutely.
make more
Absolutely.
get more options for our clients.
Yeah.
People that are calling us, hey, you may not have something, but hey, I know somebody who may be
Absolutely.
able to assist you. That's what I'm looking to do, because once we have enough of that, we can get the state to follow.
Absolutely.
And there
Absolutely.
really should be some kind of data bank where you can go to get all of these resources or get these things. And if you fill up who, someone else may be doing what you're doing, and then
Right.
they can call the next person, and then they really, if they really need assistance, they can call Ms. Tao. And so I don't know if something like that exists. It would be nice if it did.
Usually, like different town, like
Well, 211,
Yeah.
Okay.
I know if you call 211, they have their information.
Okay.
I can speak to how it works on the citywide level for people who are homeless.
Mhm.
That there actually is a coordinated effort that you might not know about. Kind of, maybe it's behind the scenes, but groups who do street outreach and the shelters,
Mm-hmm.
they actually meet every week. We're part of that. We meet every week with them, and there's a coordinated effort to keep track of everyone who is outside, and get them housing. And so
That's
if
amazing.
you're someone who's listening and you are in a shelter, and you have a case manager, get a city housing application,
Okay.
and that's how
And where do they get those from?
if you can get to Horizon House, which is a day
yeah.
shelter,
I've heard of that.
and
Yeah.
meet with someone there, or if you're in a shelter, if you're at Wheeler Mission, or if you're connected with a case manager through Midtown, ask them for a city housing application if you're someone who is homeless right now, and that's how you get on that list.
Okay.
We have a housing application for our affordable housing also.
Do you meet and this is kind of on subject but off subject, do you meet people who are homeless who just want to come in for the winter and then they're back out there for the summer?
Yeah, because there are people that I've heard that really just don't
They
want to
they're-
have the certain.
yeah, they're sovereign. I forget what they're called, but they become sovereign, which they don't want to be a part of government, and they decide that they want to remove themselves from that. So some
Yeah.
people
or just
don't
like to be
work at
homeless. I
home.
mean, I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah, some people do.
Yeah.
Well,
If that's true, I mean, I've heard of it, and I
Well,
mean,
so I'd say there's two things going on there. So the people you're talking about who kind of want to live outside or that are comfortable, that's a really small number.
okay.
But then there are also people who may have lived outside so long that they don't know how to live inside,
Right.
and there's some education with that,
It's like
and
in
there's
prison.
a lot of patience that you need with, and that's why we have to give so many chances, because someone may walk out with their apartment one day and go spend the night outside, or and we can't say, oh, you abandoned your apartment,
Right.
you're evicted,
Have you really had that happen before?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
And they can come back.
Yes,
And
they
oh,
come
wow.
back. Yes, they come back, because we understand, how hard that is. There are things that sometimes you need to relearn
Mm-hmm.
coming from outside to living inside.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you do with your clothes?
Right.
So someone who might have been living outside for a long time may not be used to washing their clothes, so they just kind of take clothes off and go get new clothes from the church or from wherever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have a big pile of clothes in their apartment, and it's smelly and has
Right,
bugs
right.
and it's not their fault. It's
Right.
just
They're used to
it's
it.
just learning a
Right.
new way. So
Wow.
it's it's a lot more to it than you think about sometimes.
I
Wow.
wanted to ask about youth homelessness. I guess I would say maybe 18 to maybe 25, which is actually still considered youth. Do you guys allow young people of that age? I know we have organizations like Outreach Inc. We're doing a phenomenal job with youth homelessness and providing some shelter. But do you provide that for teenagers, and even emancipated? Although I guess the emancipated can't be among the adults, right?
Well,
But at least 18.
so if you're 18 and over, you can live in our housing.
Okay.
Now here's some of the problem with that. Not a problem, but here's something to think about there too. When that citywide group meets, like I said, to talk about people who are homeless, and there's a lot of youth who are on the street.
What percentage of that 12,000 would you say was youth?
I'm not sure. I don't want to say the wrong
Okay.
number, but there are a lot of youth on the street, and so what kind of qualifies you to be the first on the list to get housing is that you're the most vulnerable. If you spend
okay.
another night on the street, you're not going
Wow.
to survive.
Yeah.
Now, a young person, they're strong, they're
I
healthy,
see.
they're never getting to the top of that list.
Oh.
So that's we need more housing options for youth.
Yeah, because Outreach is the only one that I know that's specifically designed just for young people, and I think they only have it's a house. It's not even like a building
It's a
or
day.
apartment.
It's a day shelter.
Yeah, it's a day shelter.
Yeah,
So it's not even a.
they can't sleep there.
Yeah,
And ours is
yeah, and it's like I said, it's a house. Maybe as big as 3-4 bedrooms. For
Well, they built a new building.
oh, did they finish that?
Yes, on East New York
Nice.
Street.
That's good.
What percentage? I mean, this some people may deem this as touchy you know, but I think it's important for people to understand what percentage of homeless people that come to you, what's the majority race wise, like ethnicity? Are you seeing a lot of black people, or you know, what from your perspective?
So for us, we actually have, you know, our housing, our apartments, and so a large number of the people who come to us are sometimes white males, age 40 to 55. You know, there's something about that group, and there are a lot of different factors.
Sure.
Because sometimes they might be part of a family, but the women and children do what they need to do to
Right.
stay inside somewhere. But the father can't go along with them.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and so
That's the crazy part about a lot of
Yeah,
those
man, it's
programs.
systematic.
right.
You know,
It's
like some of the
systematic.
homeless programs or facilities won't allow men to come
Right.
in with the women.
Right. So we
I'll
so
get
we
that.
It's
actually
systematic.
we actually have so we actually have a lot of men that a single man who that doesn't have a lot of options.
Wow.
And so
Dustin, what would you say your demographic is for your clients? Just so we can kind of get an idea of
I get mostly African American.
African American, and then what age would you say?
I get mostly African American women between the ages of 19 and 35. Yeah, it's 20. I say
Single?
more or less 21. Mostly single.
With
but you get a
like
little bit
kids and
of,
stuff. Yeah.
Some of them have kids. A lot of them have children, but some cases they don't.
Wow.
They're just having getting off to a rough start, or you know, they might live with the guy for a while, and if things were in his name, and
For sure.
you know, she was living with him, and
Right.
she
Same
found
thing,
out,
you
she
know,
found
becomes so
out he was with
dependent.
somebody else, and she was
Yeah.
going out doing it herself, and she had an eviction. She lived with her homegirls when she got kicked out of her mom and dad's house when she was 17. So there's a lot of different cases out there as well. So I do get a lot of young ladies, African American. I do get a nice amount of Hispanics and you know, Caucasian as well. So there's there's a little bit of everything, but mostly African American.
That's pretty strange. I mean, I don't want to be sexist or anything, but
Well, that,
when it comes,
that means that she
when you
is
say
one.
that, I know, right? When you preface it as being
I just-
sexist, that means I'm about to say something. No, I'm not.
I'll give
But,
I'll give you a way to look at this. How I look at it, with them being mostly female women, even though give or take you get your really serious ones and you get your ones that are just maybe trying to get over. The women are handling the business. Now, a lot of times these women are not telling you about the man that they're going to move into the home. You get a lot of these guys that, you know, they're just so dependent on their girl coming through the program, and so that they can live with them. You get a lot of that, especially in the African
And
American.
that's what I was gonna say. That I
You get a lot of that.
Yeah, like the
So,
Section 8 program is
Yeah.
like that too.
Oh,
you get
yeah.
a lot of that. So I'm getting a lot of, you know, these young African American women because, you know, I do, you know, have a nice amount of males as well, but I get mostly women because they're ready to handle their situation. Either they got
Right.
their tax checks and they're working, and, you know, I get the guys that I get, they're either, you know, working really diligently. I mean, the guys that come through, they're almost the same type of person every
Right.
time.
Right.
The women,
what is that profile?
that profile is somebody who's, you know, working, been at their job for about 4 or 5 years, had a situation, they're breaking up with their girlfriend, had a couple evictions before they were with
It's
her.
bad
They're
time.
it's always like that with the males. With the females, you know, it's them, and, you know, you look at, you know, a few months later down the line, or, you know, contact the apartments, and she's had some guy living there with her. Always.
Wow.
They just don't tell you. So that's, you know, I feel like that's why I have, you know, more female clients, because the guys are not even really being responsible enough
They're
to try to
relying
do
on
that.
her
They're
to
relying
handle.
on this woman
Yeah.
to take care of them, which is sad. You see a 15-year-old boy in front of the gas station asking you for 50 cents
Mhm.
instead of getting a work permit like we
Yeah,
used to have
yeah.
to do.
Right, that's the paradigm of
You
growing
know,
up in
yeah.
a single
Yeah.
household with a woman who's predominantly the breadwinner.
And that's
It's a
what I was
mentality.
going to say, not to, I wasn't going to be sexist, but I was just going to say, because I'm pretty sure there's some research and there's some studies, because I've seen one, Dr. Jawanjo Kunjufu, in one of his books talked about how we raise men or girls and boys differently. We raise the boys to be physical, to be athletic, and so forth, and then we raise our girls to be more academic. So it surprises me to see, but then again, as I think about it, if they're going through a second chance, that means they've been living on their own before. So that that responsibility piece is there as far as being responsible. Well, as far as being independent, so that independency is there. It's just they're allowing sometimes some of these bad choices to interrupt
Well, you get
that independency.
well, the thing is, okay, even with that large number of women clients that I'm getting, you get the ones that are really working and trying to change something for themselves. Then you have the ones that bring you paycheck stuff that somebody made. And
Oh, wow.
this guy is definitely taking care of everything. He doesn't want you to see him or want to sign up on anything because he has pending charges or whatever. But he's taking care of everything for this young lady, so she'll get it in her name. And then you have the ones that are living off the women. It's almost there's a lot of different cases. Everyone's different. I've seen almost in 7 years I've seen so many different cases. I can't say I can't look at any client like this is just like this one because it's always different. So it's a lot, and the reason why it's so hard for people to get into apartments and why they're needing second chances because of all the other ways that people are trying to get in. They're using their kids' social security numbers. They're changing their socials up. They're making it harder
So
for
security
themselves.
is tightening up.
So these property managers are looking for it. They're looking
Right.
for you to do something like that, so they can be like, nope, we can't get you in, and then you're out of $50 for your application fee and
Right.
everything. So we're just, I just take every client differently. Now I talk to the young ladies that I'm like, hey, is there somebody else in the house over the age of 18? I need to know. Property manager come in and see somebody living there, they're gonna ask them to sign a lease, or they're not eligible to sign a lease within a certain time frame. You're gonna be evicted, and there's not gonna be anything that we can do.
When you
for
think
So,
about it, that's normal for
Property
apartment.
management.
Yeah,
Or housing.
apartments
Yeah.
anywhere. That
the rental houses are a little bit more strict. Because a lot of these are private owners. Some of them aren't, but they're just gonna pop up at your
Right,
house while you're at
anytime.
work and walk to your bedroom like, who's this man stuff over here?
right.
So I warn them. I warn everybody. About hey, what's going on? But you get your honest ones, you get your ones that are just
Right.
and that's the sad part about it. Some people really need the help. Some people really need the help, but you just can't be honest to save a life.
Right.
So
Right. Well, we got to change that.
Yeah.
This second chance housing and affordable housing is definitely going to help you and catch you when you get down, but you definitely don't want to get yourself in a situation where you're taking advantage of the situation. It's only going to last so long. I can only imagine that the properties that are being managed and that are opening their doors up to this program that you guys are helping them with, you only got so many times before they, well, this was the person that was here 2 years ago, and she didn't or he didn't do very well. So I don't know if we can get them in here, So, but there's tons of properties out there, but you don't want to get into that situation where.
And then what
You
they're
didn't
not
deny
realizing,
it.
some of these properties are owned and are owned. Well, the owners have multiple properties.
Yeah, of course.
So you go and apply for one,
and then
try to be slick and go to another one,
come
and
from the same
you
database.
come from the same
They
database.
got your information already.
They sure do.
Well, we think that you all are definitely the blessing.
Yes.
This is still a work week. We don't want to get have too many people out too late watching us. But this has been joyous occasion.
Absolutely.
Talking about anything that's to help the community is
Yeah.
what the gray area is about. And they're not always going to be fun, interesting topics, but this one for me was a major one. One, because I myself was in that situation in my early 20s, and I had no reference or anybody
Yeah.
to talk to. I just had to stick it out in my car until I figured it out. But you know, there's tons of people that are still dealing with this and going through this stuff today, and it's just a blessing that you all are out here and have an available service for them. So we thank y'all for
Thank
coming
you
through.
for having me.
Yeah. We just like to do some closing remarks where you can just give people another some more information on about your company and where they can find you, and just give them some words of encouragement.
Sure. So Partners in Housing, we have a website, partnersinhousingindy.org. You can also call us anytime, 317-633-1861. That's our number where you can choose an option for leasing. We have waiting lists at a lot of our properties, but some of them we do have some availability. And again, if you're someone who is experiencing homelessness and you're in a shelter, but you can get to a case manager, get to a shelter, get to a day shelter, and get a city housing application, you can get on the list for wait list for housing.
Just to double check, that was 317-633-1861?
Correct.
Awesome.
Justin.
All right, with our company, Second Chance Housing Finance Consultants, if you are someone who is in need of housing assistance or you're looking to be approved for Second Chance Housing, you can contact us at 317-824-9397. Again, that's 317-824-9397. That is our customer service line. Our website is www.second, and that's with the number 2rent.com. So Second Chance 2rent.com with twos. www.second with the 2nd chance CHANCE, the number 2, and then rent.com. You can also look at our Facebook page, Second Chance House and Rentals on Facebook, as well as follow me, Justice Lloyd, on Facebook. If you're needing an appointment, we're actually running a special. If you look up Justice Lloyd on Facebook with the screenshot, you can get 25% off of the asking price for assistance. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for
we
coming.
appreciate you for coming.
Absolutely. LaDonna.
Just gonna say, just educate yourself. I think a lot of
That's huge.
getting to this point is not educating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Be diligent so that you don't get to this situation. But if you do, know you have options. Don't be afraid to ask for help. It's definitely out here.
There it is.
All right.
Bro.
I want to thank you guys for being on. Like Ray said, homelessness is something that I've been educating mostly youth on for quite some time. But just, it's nearly experiencing that situation myself. I definitely can understand where Ray is coming from and how this is something major, because you never know who's going through what situation. So I want to thank you guys, because these are things that I never knew existed. These are programs that I never knew existed. And I'm sure there's somebody out there, viewers, who never knew these programs existed. So I do thank you guys for doing what you do. Also, I wanted to encourage our viewers to share the information. So we put both of their phone numbers in the comments. We've also provided the website and the flyer info. So if you know someone, even if you just, pin the or save. I like to save videos a lot and information a lot on Facebook. I have yet to go back, but I know they're there. I have tons.
That's
of
the
them.
beautiful thing about
I know.
Facebook. I got a lot of videos.
Tons of
saved.
things, but I have yet to go back and see what I have, so it'll be like Christmas when I do. But so pin it, save it, and actually do that for all of our shows, because you never know who could use this information. And so, I'm proud of the fact that, like Ray said, we can have a show to make you laugh. We can have a show that talks about how to make $1 million. Whatever shows that, most of us would gravitate to, but we need shows that will inform the community, that provide help for our community, that provide healing for our community. So, you know, I think this is one of those shows that we really need to make sure that we are very intentional in sharing this information.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that's all.
Well, thank y'all, man, for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Learned a whole lot, you know, and I just want to ask this question, you know, to be part of my closing remarks.
It's not a remark, it's a question.
Question. It says part of my closing
It's
remarks. Okay, now,
It's not
now, listen. Let me get on you because it's Jawanza Kunjufu, not Jawanja.
Is that what I said?
Yes,
Just like you, okay.
and I'll let that slide.
You're right. I'm sorry. I was nervous.
I don't know how to say it at all. So
It is Jawanza Kunjufu.
Yeah.
okay.
In your ideal world, what would y'all do to cure homelessness? In an ideal world.
Give everyone a house.
Everybody get a house. Oprah. Let's go.
Let's go.
Right.
That's the
Sounds
fastest way to
alright.
cure homelessness.
Give them
Give a person a house.
Give someone a place to stay.
Yeah.
Balance the cost of living with what you get paid.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
There you
make
go.
it make sense.
Yeah.
We have more houses than we have enough houses.
You got enough houses?
Yeah, we do.
Definitely a
Enough
lot.
rooms and
Definitely. I
everything.
mean, so many abandoned and empty places, and you know, instead of having the homeless, you know, breaking into them and you know, having their own little, you know, semi-functional home that they're loitering in, you know, you could just give them a home. They give them away
Sure.
for a couple $1,000s. You know, anyway, it could, you know, bring in, you know, just a lot. Facelift to Indiana by us just going in, fixing up these houses and giving them away. It would really change a lot of
Yeah.
things. You know, and even hire the homeless to work on some of these houses.
That's a good idea.
You know, there's so many ways that we could cure so many things here
Mm-hmm.
in the city. We just have to
Has to be
look
a-
at it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to be able to focus on the sources of what the problem is to come up with some type of solution. So,
Okay.
in an ideal world.
Go ahead, brother. That's it.
Oh, that's all you got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a question, huh?
You just call. Yeah.
Okay.
Calling me out.
Well, I appreciate y'all coming. As we've all said, you know, it's always a joyous occasion to sit back here and get educated on things that are happening that we know nothing about. You know, oftentimes we don't go and do any research on this. We just want to hear it, just like we're the viewers
Yeah.
hearing it and listening to it and talking about it for the first time, so that our questions are very genuine. So,
Yeah.
you know, thank y'all for coming. Shout out to all the people out there that have created. There's a lot of athletes, and I can't even think of their names, but there's a lot of athletes and celebrities and people who have bought tons of homes out there and given them away to homeless people. Have created organizations that help people. Shout out to those people who have
Floyd,
a
my
heart.
brother.
Who have a heart, because they don't have to do that. Shout out to you all for building businesses and being part of organizations that help people. You don't have to do that, you know. So we thank y'all for that. Lastly, I just want to thank the viewers for always tuning in
Absolutely.
and supporting the Gray Area. As we always state, we don't get paid for any of this. You know, we do this as a voluntary service because we want to give back to the community, and we just want to have a circuit in the media organization that just talks about real things, you know, and we want to be the voice for the community. So
Yeah.
thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you again next week.
Peace.
Peace
Good
out.
evening.
Bye.
Yes, sir.
You called me out first.
I didn't know. You
guess
should have
you better.
corrected me when I
No.